Welcome to track 3, walking and home bodyweight exercises. I'm Chris Netley. For those of you who I haven't met yet, I work at the health center a few days a week. I'm a chiropractor with an emphasis on sports chiropractic. I also teach at the college. I teach physical wellness dynamics, and I do a variety of other projects around campus, and Fit Club is one of them. Walking and home exercise, this track, we will never meet in person. So what will happen, I'm going to get you set up on an app. We use an app called Train Heroic, and I will send out information on that a little bit later. And we'll get you on there and I'll create another video to show you how you are going to track your steps. I will expect you to track your steps 7 days a week for 6 months. That is the goal. We're setting the bar high. I don't expect perfection. I'm just looking for progress. If there are days when you can't track your steps or you can't report your steps, that's fine. But the ultimate goal is tracking your steps 7 days a week. At the beginning of each week, I will also send out an email with a home exercise bodyweight challenge. These are simple. I may or may not send videos. If I send anything out and you don't know how to perform the exercise, feel free to contact me and I can send you a video or maybe some written descriptions. But these are quite simple. This is something that I've already kind of been doing with our Fit Club alumni. An example may be for 1 week, every time you brush your teeth, you're going to do 10 squats. So that would be 20 squats per day. You don't ever have to report your home exercise. You're only reporting your steps. But if you want to, you can. And once I create the video to show you how you're going to record your steps, it'll be quite simple. It's really easy to do. Why are we recording steps? Because step count matters. General physical activity is one of the best things for health and for physical fitness, and walking and getting in your step count is just a marker for general physical activity. There are a lot of different ways you can track your steps. The most common way that people will use is a wearable device, a watch or something like that. Your smartphones also have pedometers on them. The phone has to be on you at the time. That's the only catch. If you don't have a smartphone or you don't have a wearable device, there are pedometers that you can get on Amazon. They're pretty cheap, 10 to 12 bucks. I will send a link via email so that you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So that's a very, very cheap investment. So that's how this track will work. This is the first time in Fit Club where we are experimenting with a completely virtual track that doesn't meet in person. There are pros and cons to this approach. The pros are obvious. You don't have to be in any specific location at any specific time. So this is much more flexible. The cons are maybe a little bit more subtle. I predict for many people that it is going to be hard to stay motivated for 6 months and stay on track. You will not have the benefit of a group meeting in person or a coach looking you in the eye, pushing you and encouraging you and coaching you and teaching you. So that is going to make this track a little bit more challenging. However, I predict that for those who can make it through the 6 months, you are going to see some gains. You're going to increase your overall physical activity. And I know this because I understand human nature. If you don't measure something, you can't manage it. And that's what we're doing. We're going to measure something for 6 months. And the interesting thing, when people start to measure things and they start to write things down, people change. So one of the best ways to change your habits or start a new habit or stick with something for a long period of time is to record it and to record your results and to record your progress and to be honest about the times when you're not making progress, but then hold yourself accountable and look forward to making progress. A common question that I get is, will the group environment help me with my motivation? And I want to discourage people from thinking that way. And let me explain what I mean. Motivation should be internal. It should come from you as an individual. If your motivation hinges on a group, then if there's any specific day when that group is not there or not available or doesn't exist anymore, your motivation just disappears with the group. So I encourage you to find some type of internal motivation. And to help you understand what I'm talking about regarding having your own motivation, I'm going to share with you my motivation for exercise. I am about to turn 43 this summer, and I have 2 kids. My oldest is 5 and my youngest is 2. I didn't know my grandparents. My dad's dad died when I was very young, and my mom's mom died when she was a teenager. My other 2 grandparents lived in different states. I knew them but I knew them almost as acquaintances. I never had a relationship with them, so I never really grew up appreciating or understanding what having grandparents could be like. Now I have children, and it's interesting because my son never met my dad. My dad died a couple years before we started having kids. And as my son grows up, he has so many similarities with my dad. It's really strange. And because I've never met, my dad's never had the opportunity to rub off on him, but just genetically, they have so many similarities. And I often sit there and watch my son, and I wonder what it would be like to see my dad and my son interact. And it's just something that I'll never know. And then I start to think, man, I wonder if my dad had the same feelings. You know, when I was a little kid, if he sat there and thought, oh man, I wonder, my son has so much in common with my dad. I wonder what would it be like to see the 2 of them interact. And then I see my kids interact with their grandparents, and they have very close relationships with both of their grandmothers and my father-in-law. And then I start to get curious, and I wonder, man, I wonder what kind of parents my kids are going to be like. I really want to see that. And I wonder what it's going to be like to have that type of relationship with my grandkids. And then I start to think about, okay, I started having kids in my late 30s, early 40s. I'm playing the long game, because if you look at the last 2 generations of Netley men, they were not able to go the distance. My dad and my grandfather, neither of them had relationships with their grandkids because they didn't live long enough. And then I have to think about the realistic possibility that my kids might wait till later in life to have kids. So realistically, I've got to make it, to have a shot at this goal, I've got to make it another 40 or 50 years. So I'm thinking about longevity, lifespan, but also health span. How healthy and mobile can I be in my later decades? And that's my motivation. Having a group helps. I'm a member at CrossFit, so I have that community. Having good music helps. Having a plan helps. There are a lot of things that help, but on any given day, if I don't have a group, if my phone dies and I don't have music, and whatever plan I had just goes out the window, and I just don't want to move, and I don't want to train, and I'm not feeling like it's a good day to be active, I can always go back to that motivation, and I can think about my son and my daughter, and I can wonder what their kids are going to be like, and I can wonder what it'll be like to have a relationship with those kids as their grandparent. And that's my motivation. That's enough to get me moving. I don't need you. I don't need a coach. I don't need anyone. It'll get me moving. So I encourage you to start to think about that. What's your why? Why are you doing this? Why did you sign up for this track specifically? And what do you hope to get out of it? And why do you want that outcome? What does that outcome mean to you? This is your motivation. This is the essence of what's going to keep you going. And it needs to keep you going beyond 6 months. Because to be perfectly honest, 6 months of activity is nothing if it doesn't continue beyond 6 months. It's not going to get you anything. You're going to see results within 6 months, but when we end in November, if you just take the next 6 months off, it's all going to go away. So we need to start to establish a very powerful motivation now, and you need to practice using that motivation over the 6 months, because this 6 months with me in walking and home exercise ideally will set a foundation and just be a jumping off point for the rest of your life. I hope this intro video helps. I am excited to work with you. I'm excited to see how this goes, and I'm excited to be a part of your journey, working towards your goals and helping you find and harness your motivation to keep going well beyond this program. Well, that's it. If you have any questions, let me know.